You know that feeling when you snag a cheap laptop that promises all-day power, and then, a week later, it can't even handle a single Photoshop layer without stuttering? I've been there, and that hesitation is what makes me pause before every big tech purchase. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So today I'm going to see whether the HP ZBook Fury G11 actually feels like a smarter buy than those budget workstation lookalikes that end up being more of a headache than a help. First off, let's talk about why the ZBook line exists. HP designed this series for professionals who need a mobile workstation that can run heavy CAD models, render 3D scenes, or crunch large data sets while you're on the road. It's not a gaming laptop, and it's not meant to be a thin and light ultrabook. The whole premise is that you're paying a premium for reliability and demanding software, not just for a flashy screen. That context matters because if you're only looking to browse the web, stream movies, or edit occasional photos, the ZBook might be overkill and you'll probably be better off with a more affordable 2-in-1 or a mid-range laptop. What really matters in a mobile workstation is how it behaves under real-world workloads. I set the ZBook up in my home office, connected it to a 27-inch 4K monitor, and ran a typical day of tasks. Opening a 200-page Revit project, switching to a SolidWorks assembly with a few hundred components, and then launching Lightroom to batch process a set of raw files. The moment I launched the CAD software, the laptop's fans kicked in, but the noise was more a low hum than a whine. The UI stayed responsive, and I could rotate the 3D model without the dreaded lag that cheap alternatives often throw at you when they hit a few hundred polygons. One of the hidden trade-offs that shows up once you start using the machine for extended periods is the thermal envelope. The ZBook's chassis is sturdy, and the cooling system does its job, but after 3 hours of continuous rendering, the palm rests do get warm. It's not enough to shut the laptop down, but if you're the type who likes to keep your hands on the keyboard while the machine is maxed out, you'll notice the heat. In contrast, many budget workstations either overheat dramatically or throttle performance to stay cool, which is a more frustrating experience. Battery life is another practical point. HP lists a 90 Wh battery, and on paper that sounds generous. In my testing, I got about 5 hours of mixed usage email, some light spreadsheet work, and occasional video calls. When I switched to a heavy simulation in ANSYS, the runtime dropped to roughly 2 hours before the charger had to be plugged back in. That's realistic for a workstation of this class. You're moving the power-hungry components to the wall when you're in a studio or a client site, not expecting a full day of heavy-duty work on the go. If you need all-day unplugged performance, you'll need to look at laptops with larger batteries or external power packs. Now, let's break down who should actually consider this machine. If you're an engineer, architect, or video editor who regularly works with multi-gigabyte project files and can't afford a desktop that ties you down, the ZBook Fury G11 gives you the processing muscle you need in a portable package. The 13th Gen i7 processor, combined with 32 gigabytes of RAM, handles simultaneous workloads without dropping frames, which is exactly what a freelance designer juggling client revisions will appreciate. The 1TB SSD also means you won't be constantly waiting for files to load, and you have enough space to keep several large project archives on the go. On the other side, if you're a student or a small business owner whose primary tools are Microsoft Office, web browsers, and occasional light photo editing, the ZBook is probably more power than you'll ever tap. You'd end up paying a premium for a machine that sits mostly idle, and you could get a comparable experience with a far cheaper laptop that also has better battery endurance. Likewise, gamers who are looking for high frame rates in the latest titles should steer clear. The graphics solution in the Fury is geared toward professional CUDA cores rather than raw gaming performance, so you'll see better results in rendering workloads than in a AAA shooter. A practical strength that stands out is the connectivity. The ZBook includes multiple Thunderbolt 4 ports, a full-size HDMI, and an SD card reader. In a studio environment, being able to plug a 4K monitor, an external GPU dock, or a fast external SSD without needing a dongle is a real time saver. I was able to connect a calibrated color-accurate monitor and a 10 gigabits Ethernet adapter in under a minute, and the laptop recognized everything instantly. That level of plug-and-play reliability is something I've missed on many thinner laptops that force you to juggle adapters. The practical weakness, besides the warm palm rests, is the weight. At just under 6 pounds, It's definitely not a travel-like companion. If you're hopping between